take that uniqueness away from someone. You rob them of their autonomy. You take away their thought process of actually being that. Hi guys, today's video is a very specific video for a very specific group of people. Today we are going to be talking about the downsides of pretty privilege, and before we get into this video is not in a condescending way like pretty privilege. No, I want us all to understand that beauty is so from within. When you shift your mindset and you do the inner work and you start to value yourself and you start to love yourself, this is when you'll start to see people around you treating you the same way. Remember, life is a reflection from within. So if you love yourself and you think you're the baddest on the planet and you think that you have pretty privilege, you're gonna have pretty privilege. There's so many different social circles as well as economic circles that allow us to explore our pretty privilege in multiple ways. So literally, pretty privilege is not just for one target group. Pretty privilege is not for one race. Pretty privilege doesn't have one look. It has multiple views and looks. So today I'm going to just talk about a few downsides of pretty privilege, because I literally just went through this last night, and you guys know that on this channel, when I'm called to talk about something, then that's when I speak about it. So, you know, hopefully this message resonates with you. The biggest downside to pretty privilege is actually being objectified all of the time. And this is once again one of those things where a lot of women actually have way more pretty privilege than they realize, but they are so in their head and they're allowing intrusive thoughts and just in their own negative beliefs in themselves and how they view themselves in the mirror to take such a strong hold on their life that they're not realizing how the world and people actually see them. So that was my story. For a very long time I didn't know my power, and now I'm stepping into my power because I'm loving myself, I'm loving this person I'm becoming, and I'm grateful for all of the attributes, traits, and gifts that I have been given. So now I am seeing in return the world is doing the same to me. With that being said, it's really interesting when you make that shift, because you just see how objectified you are, and it actually is really annoying. I'm going to talk about everything that's annoying, but we're going to move into the second thing of a downside of pretty privilege. They assume things of you. And the 4 things that they assume about you that I actually hate is that you're promiscuous, that your morals are either very low or too high, or they're just having their own set of morals projected onto you based on what level of pedestal they're putting you on. They assume the type of person you like to date. And then also, just lastly, they just try to assume your worth. Like, they just try to label you this bit of worth. And it's like, you don't even know me. And it's super frustrating when you tie in all of those things, because it's like, okay, now if you have someone that thinks you're very promiscuous, not only are they just projecting that on you, but now they're going to assume you either have low worth or super high worth, and they just want to throw money at you. And then, which is also coinciding with your moral code with, okay, well, you think morally I want to do this, or morally I put up with this? No. Then lastly, you think that I would even want to talk to you. I think in this world, attractive women get it really hard because, oh, you're supposed to talk to me, or I'm giving you this, so you should be talking to me, or I'm doing this for you. I'm entitled for your time. I'm entitled for you for your this, and it's frustrating because everyone is human and everyone has their own autonomy and their own right to choose what they do and do not want in this lifetime, who they do and do not want to date, what they do and do not want to do. And yes, there are bad apples ruin the bunch, right? With anything, with men, with women, any subset of group, there are bad apples that will ruin it for the bunch. So of course, on both sides, we have the negative connotation that gave this projection even onto us that, oh, well, I know a lot of pretty girls just like money thrown at them and then they'll be intimate with me, or I know I just have to. And it's frustrating, but once again, we know sometimes bad apples just ruin the bunch, and that really has nothing to do with you. But it is annoying. It is very annoying. Lastly, I think the thing that is the worst about pretty privilege, which I don't hear a lot of people talk about a lot, is your voice can be silenced. It's either your voice is magnified and everyone is overly critical of everything you're saying and they're literally clocking every single sentence that comes out of your mouth, or your voice is so silenced because they don't think that you're capable of holding an intellectual conversation, of holding a room and having people actually hear and listen to you and value your opinion, or even that you're saying something worth hearing because they're so focused on your face or your body. With that category, it ties everything in, but I do think it's one of the worst ones because there's so much power in all of our voices. Yes, everyone is not a famous motivational public speaker. Yes, everyone doesn't want to be in the spotlight, but we all have a right to say what we want and for people to at least bare minimally respect what we're saying if it is coming out of a respectful tone. With this side of pretty privilege, we see a lot of beautiful women either being silenced because people do not think she is capable of speaking on that topic, holding a conversation to that level, or even just wanting to hear what she has to say. And then on the flip side, we hear that it's either we're magnified, where it's like, oh, well, you said this, so this is what this means. It's like, why? Why is it so critical of women who are attractive? And you know, this goes for all attractive people, but today we're just going to talk about women because I think that it's turning into a really toxic place and it's getting out of hand, especially with the short form content, especially just like with OnlyFans, especially with all of these things that are putting women in a very sexual manner or very promiscuous manner. It is innately, we're not seeing it, we're not realizing it, bringing down the worth of women overall. And I'm not saying it's making every woman low value or it's making everyone, you can't be sexually, no, I'm not saying anything like that, but we have to understand this is once again a higher level thinking. What social frames are in our brain is when a certain social scenario, person, place, or thing is already embedded in our mind and we already have assumed perception of how and why that thing does what it does. We live in that kind of world where we're automatically moving at such a fast pace and assuming things of people. If we have over-sexualized women so much and this has become the norm, now women who are attractive, immediately that is the first social frame. And I'm all for doing what you want. I'm all for being liberated. I'm all for everything. I don't care. But we're speaking at a greater purpose right now, and we're speaking at the overall view of society and how it's changing. And it is a little scary because everything is turning into this game, this fantasy, and a lot of people's voices are being silenced. A lot of people aren't being respected. A lot of people are missing out on opportunities or literally having to fight and like, hey, I know what I'm talking about, or hey, like, listen to me, just because they're an attractive person. And this obviously goes back to like the tale of time, the very beginning of time, and we don't have time for all of those story times, but overall it's very tough. It is very tough and it's frustrating, and I just don't think it's talked about enough and also empathized enough. I think a lot of people are like, you're attractive, you have nothing to worry about. And once again, when I'm saying attractive, there's different levels of attractive, right? There's not even saying like, oh my god, she's a baddie, no, like different social circles see people differently. Like I can be a 20 or a 10 to someone, and then in another social circle or another economic in another social circle or another economical circle, I'm a 2 or a 1. But that doesn't change my worth. That doesn't change what I look like. You know what I mean? Like, you guys get that? Like, that's not changing your face. Like, in different areas, you're going to be categorized different. And a lot of people don't want to really address that because it makes it so shallow and all this stuff. But it's just the reality of this world. And I do think attractive people, especially attractive women, aren't really sympathized enough with how the world treats them, because it's like, oh, well, you're pretty, you can get this, you can get that. And yes, there's a lot of upsides for being a very charismatic, confident woman, but there's also even more downsides that I would kind of argue sometimes can outweigh the pros if you don't know how to handle your life correctly and you don't know how to regulate your emotions. And combining all three of these together, it is a bit exhausting to always be objectified, to always be silenced, and to always have your worth deemed by how you look, what your body is, and someone assuming how promiscuous you are, and all of these things, and just assigning your moral value to you. It's annoying. It's very frustrating, and I think that's the beauty of this world, right? And that's what this channel is all about, of seeing the beauty and the value in yourself, because we all are so unique, right? So when you combine those three things, you take that uniqueness away from someone. You rob them of their autonomy. You take away their thought process of actually being them. Great, it's I know how to put myself together. Great, you think I'm attractive, but can you respect what's going on in my brain? Can you respect my moral code? Can you respect how I want to do certain things in life? Can you respect my goals, my aspirations? And can you actually be an ear that listens to me and respects what I say, and do not look at me as just an object? And yes, that's a super big ask, a super big task for this world. But I wanted to make this video to emphasize everyone is human. It doesn't matter what they look like. It doesn't matter their economic status. It doesn't matter their background. It doesn't matter any of that. We are all human. And the way we can start to change this world one person at a time and one day at a time is by treating people how you want to be treated. Treat them with respect, love, and care, and just listen to what people say and respect them and treat them like a normal human being, no matter what they look like, no matter what their pocket size is, no matter where they came from, no matter where they want to be, no matter their back, no matter anything. It doesn't matter. It really does not matter. What matters is the love and respect and the experiences you gain from meeting people, the knowledge, the wisdom, and just the joy and privilege it is to be in the presence of someone else, and to be privileged to hear their takes on things, to be privileged to even spend time with them, with us knowing that time is not infinite. That time is so finite that we don't even know what tomorrow brings. So I hope this video really brought a different perspective for people and allows us to think at a more enlightened level when we're talking to people in different social or economic circles, because a lot of people want to categorize pretty women and attractive people in their own social circle. With that being said, just remember, treat people how you want to be treated, and no one is really above or below you. They're only above or below you if you give them the power to be above or below you by putting them on a pedestal. We are all human. When you strip us down from our skin and our bank accounts and our clothes, we all got red blood, bones, and we are all the same skeleton, okay? So understand, you give people the power to have control over you by the pedestal you put them on. So if you are watching this and you are a male or a woman or whatever you would enjoy identifying with, and you feel like you give people who are more attractive a harder time, or you dismiss them, or you don't respect how they speak about certain things, if you are kind of putting them in a different category and treating them differently, I just want you to reflect on how would you want to be treated. No matter what you look like, how would you want to be treated? And I challenge everyone to treat everyone that same way. Bye guys.